Well, hello from on the ground at the range. If I'm yelling, it's because I've already got my ears in. I have a few rounds of 30 Herrett left after a Silhouette shoot this past weekend. And I'm out here at 150 meters, a little bit of practice, and then I can fire these rounds. So my whole float of 30 Herrett brass that's from this batch, if you will be fired and ready to shoot again. So I've got the Super 14 30 Herrett. This is a old loop-holed M8 4-power scope on it. I've been shooting Big Bore Unlimited with this setup for a while. Had a pretty good outing this past Saturday. I was clean all the way through the turkeys, and then we had the hard set rams hit 200, and this is not enough power to take a hard set ram. I'm running about 1900 feet per second with 147 grain full metal jacket. This is 27 grains of accurate 2015 and a CCI 250 large rifle Magnum primer. This batch is formed on 360 buckhammer brass. It's been holding up real good. This is the 5th load on this float of brass. But once I got to the rams, I didn't have a sighter helping me spot the target, so I'm not 100% sure how many rams that I hit. So just clean through the turkeys. Let's see the scorecards here. There's the scorecard. There goes the clock. I didn't even mark the rams because I'm not sure which ones I hit, and I didn't realize that they hadn't been painted, so we couldn't really tell for sure. I think I might have missed one, maybe, who knows. So that was not a sanctioned meet anyway, so it's not a big deal on that score. So we'll work hard on our shooting for next month. Well, actually not next month, next weekend, Memorial Day weekend. We have a 2-day shoot at the Barry County Conservation Club, so we'll get practiced up and be ready for there. So we'll run the rest of these at 150 and verify our 0. I do have the target camera going here. This is on my Android phone. Let's hope it works. I'll do a review at the target when we're all done anyway, and even if this isn't working, we'll be able to look at the target afterwards. So I'll just go ahead and shoot, and you guys just go ahead and watch. So this barrel came from my dad. It was one of my dad's contender barrels that came from him. The barrel, the loop-holed scope mount, which is this one is a dual dovetail, so it's both of those rings are turn-in rings, and this loop-holed scope was my dad's as well, but the frame was from elsewhere. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. Now, 3 pieces of this 360 buckhammer brass are head-stamped RP, and the rest of them are Federal FC. I think they're all made the same. They're just a different head stamp. I think they're all made at the same place. I think all those people kind of live together now. But anyway, let's go ahead and put some down range and see how this prints and if a sight adjustment is in order. Things were running a little bit on the high side on Saturday, but we did have some bizarre wind, so it doesn't surprise me that things were weird. I felt reasonably good about that shot. I'm not sure if I can pick it up. Yep, I can pick it up. Well, no, wait a minute, something on my screen. Yep, I think that is about 12 o'clock, just scratching the 10 ring. This does have 150 meter 0 on it, so we should be reasonably good. Not much wind here right now, just a tiny bit. Okay, that one, the elevation was good, but I came well to the left. I was struggling a little bit on the hold there, wandering around. I've been thinking about putting more glass on this, but I haven't wanted to take the time to reset everything up. That might have still been on a turkey, it might not have. I'm not seeing that one. Oh, it's up high. I didn't feel bad about the shot. I must be jumping around more than I think I am. Try to settle down. That felt a little low and left. But no, it's up high with the other one, which might make sense. I think that a down sight adjustment might be in order for this because it was shooting a bit high on everything on Saturday. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and walk over to the truck and let's get the little Garmin and see how our velocities are doing. Okay, now we can measure velocity. We've got the little Garmin set up there. It's right here. I don't think you can see it in the camera. Let's say new session. This 27 grains of accurate 2015 has been doing right about 1900. But yeah, I'm a little high on all those shots, so a little bit of down may be in order. Let's put a few more on the target and see where we're at. That hold was pretty decent. And it's right above that other one that was to the left. So some of what I'm battling is glasses as well. On these long eye relief scopes for pistols and progressive bifocals, if you are looking through a different part of your lens, it will really change your point of impact. So that's something I've got to be really disciplined about too, is trying to keep my head position consistent. It's, very similar to parallax error. That one I felt like the hold was a tiny bit low. 1869 on the velocity, so it's down a little bit today. And that one looks like maybe 2 o'clock outside of the 10987 ring. Spider, go away, spider. All right, settle down, try to do good shots. Doing this on camera is so hard. A lot of my viewers and friends, local friends here around, and they're all like, we'd like to see more contender stuff, more silhouette stuff, and it is so hard to film it. 1962. So I'm getting some variation in velocities. This ammo was loaded, I think these here were 2 times ago, and I didn't really like how I prepped the next, so it doesn't surprise me that the velocities aren't quite as good as I'd like them to be as far as consistency. That one's up with those others, which, you know, that was a faster shot, so that makes sense. So maybe I, even though this may warrant a down correction, I may just leave it where it is based on the fact that the velocity is not as consistent as I'd like. But I've filmed similar things to this, probably 5 or 6 times, and none of them had made the cut yet. So this one might not make the cut either. Say, it's hard to make a good video with this stuff. I'd like to bring you one where everything was going just perfect and all that, but it hasn't happened yet. We'll get there. That hold was a little bit low and left, but certainly well within the black. That's showing 1926 there, so that's a little warm again, and stupid Android phone went blank. I set this once to not sleep the display, but I think it ignores me. That's up with those others too. Be interesting if we get a shot that's lower in velocity if the point of impact is low again, but if they're running that velocity and going up there, it explains some of my misses, the 1 or 2 misses on rams that I had on Saturday. Like I said, I cleaned everything out through the turkeys, so at this distance I was hitting, but things change. That hold was pretty good. 1893, that was down a little bit. Where'd the shot go? I think that shot is down on elevation just fine, if that's the right shot, just outside the 10, just outside the 9 ring at about 330. This is the first time I've seen a lot of velocity variation with the 2015, which I say it might be the brass. I think I had a little bit inconsistent interference or tension on the next to the bullets, and that could be part of it. $19.15. Not quite sure where that's at. I've kind of lost count of my shots. Most of those shots would still carry the turkey. The high ones wouldn't, but the others probably would. When it broke, I was just a tiny bit right, just a tiny bit right and a tiny bit low, like an inch or so off from the center. I said I've kind of lost count of where the targets are going, or where the targets are going, where the shots are going, because I got too many now. Some of this will be undefined until I edit the video. didn't like that one as the hold was a little bit right. 1891, the velocity's down. So yeah, it went off to the right, about on, I think that's the one that's the furthest out on the right. I did not like that hold. It doesn't take much wobble. You know, you don't have the crosshairs where they need to be, and if you follow through his pour at all, it doesn't take much, I tell you. That was a good hold. That one broke right where it should. And hopefully we'll be able to see them in order on the video. I see I got a little bit of a cluster going there, a little bit high and right. 1928, that was fast again. So it might warrant some down. We'll take a look at the target when we're all done and make some decisions. It might be in that same little group there. A little bit up and right. That broke in a good spot too. I like the shot. Yeah, it will be interesting editing the video to see which one of these is which, because I should have put markers on them. Sometimes this software on these target cameras is finicky, and I I don't like to do too much with them because I end up doing things I don't want to do, and then once it's during the video, it's all messed up. Okay, last shot. Let's try to put a good one on there. It looks like I got a cluster of them going a little high and a little right. I was a tiny bit low, a tiny bit left, but I don't know where it went. But yeah, it looks like I'm kind of favoring high and right and just over 1900. It's interesting that the velocities are up versus what I was getting the other day, right around 1900 flat. So let's go ahead and walk down and take a look at the target and see what we come up with from there. Well, all right, we're done with the shooting now, so had a little bit of break in the action. A friend stopped by and we visited for a spell, but here's the chronograph, and you can see that I did have some kind of wild variation there from 1839 to 1962. I'm hoping that's just those few pieces of brass. That's not the most recent loading of the 30 Herrett, because the last time I did it, I think I short loaded it, if you will. I had the leftovers from the previous match and didn't reload them all, but I'll make sure that I do the same brass prep on everything this time, and hopefully that we get that squared around, because that's one of the things I've been chasing, is a little bit of variation in the velocities, and that was one of the things that kind of prompted me to switch powders. And I thought 2015 was being more consistent for me, and I thought that CCI 250 was being more consistent for me too, because I've been kind of fooling around changing the loads here. Say this batch here, oh well, maybe I'm lying to you on all this, because I did load all 60 of them the last time. I don't remember if I annealed them or not, but so this time around I'll definitely anneal them and make sure that I'm getting the best out of what I'm getting. That's so, but anyway, yeah, I've been chasing the velocities. I did some primer testing and whatnot. And I thought 2015 was doing better for me, but this batch certainly did not. But let's go ahead and walk down range and see what we got as far as that target. A little bit of a walk, but 150 meters we were shooting from. We were just shooting at a standard 100-yard NRA target, and it's good for practice. It's not indicative of what I'll be shooting at when I shoot big bore silhouette. Those rounds would have been on the big bore turkey, so you know, my impact area is bigger than what I'm shooting at here. However, it is not a circle, it's a different shape, so it's kind of hard to tell what would score and what wouldn't. So could have put an outline of a turkey on there, I suppose. That would have been more indicative of what I'm really doing, but I was hoping that these would group a little bit better. I'm sure that on video I don't do my best shooting and make a few mistakes, but I was hoping they would group a little tighter than they grouped here. But a good portion of these would have carried on turkeys, but some would not have, I think. But that's decent out here today. It's not real warm, it's right about 60. Kind of intermittent sun and clouds. You can see we got a little bit of cloud cover up there, but not terrible. Probably getting some camera bounce. I'm carrying the whole tripod here. But pretty quiet here today. I thought there might be more people. My traditional Thursdays that I used to always try to get out and do some of these things and film, we've kind of turned that into flintlock night, traditional muzzleloader night. That's a lot of fun. I've been playing around with that a little bit, so that's cool. But I usually, if I come on Thursday, I'm a little earlier than that. We start that around 6 o'clock. So if I come out and shoot on Thursday, I just try to make sure I get out here right after work so that I can get started and be wrapped up before we start shooting the muzzleloaders. But yeah, I'm thinking that I could probably, especially if those velocities are going to run a little over the 1900, I can probably dial a little bit of down into this, you know, a couple of MOA or so, because I'm tending to be up in this area. If I was holding center on the turkey, the vast majority of those probably would have scored okay. These ones that are far over here, depending on if I was shooting the head this way or the head that way, which bank of targets, I may or may not have carried those. So this is, you know, it's not horrible, but it's not as good as I was hoping for. But I think I'm going to put a little tiny bit of down into that scope and maybe a little bit of left into it. I think that my hold this season is a little different than my hold was last season. You know, your physique and your posture, if you will, when you're in position, if you change that, it's going to change your, you know, your setting on your scope. So this scope, I do not dial it for the different ranges. I leave it set on the 150 meter zero, and I just adjust my hold. Now, fortunately, with more or less this 150 grain bullet and, you know, more or less 1900 feet per second, I'm about I have to hold about 3 to 4 MOA low on the 25 meter chicken. I have to hold about 2 MOA low or thereabouts on the 50 meter, excuse me, I'm saying this backwards. On the 50 meter chicken, I have to hold about 4 to 5 MOA low. On the 100 meter pig, I have to hold about 3 MOA low. On the turkey, I'm straight on, and I have to hold about 3 MOA of up on my 200 meter rams. So I use the duplex reticle in that loop-hold scope to do it with this setup. I have better scopes and ones that I dial, but I'm trying to leave this one set up the way that it is for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want to fiddle with it. It's shooting reasonably well. And the other one is that barrel and scope mount and scope came from my dad, and I'm just kind of leaving them the way they were. So it's kind of one of those things where it might make sense to change it up. And that's only 4 power. I could shoot a little bit more magnification, but you know, this isn't bad. A good portion of this is me trying to entertain viewers in a video and not shooting my best. And part of it is that I probably need to dial a little down into it. So we'll go back to the 150 meter range and I'll show you the dope for this particular load, and we'll go from there. Okay, here's the tray, box, whatever you choose to call it. It's got my stuff in it. Scorecards there, and under here, this is one of my dope books, if you will. We'll open that up, and I was kind of writing this stuff down. So the way I had that written there, the 50 meter chicken, I was holding down about 4 For the 100 pig, I was holding down about 2.5. For the 150 turkey is straight on, and then the ram is got to hold about 3 MOA low. The reticle in the scope has a 4 MOA duplex, so I use that to kind of judge my hold. So for this 150 meter that I was just shooting, I'm holding straight on, and it does seem to warrant maybe a little bit of down correction. I'll probably take care of that at home. These old loop-holed M8s, they don't click. They're just a friction adjust. I have to try to get a little bit of better focus there. There we go. So, you know, there's the adjustments, but say that it doesn't have clicks. You just adjust it and do the, you know, the setup that way. So it's just a friction. So I usually don't, you know, I don't take turning these lightly. I guess some guys, I was talking to one of my friends that shoots, and he said that he dials them, and I've never had the confidence to do that on those old M8s. So it's just kind of one of those things where, you know, you just got to get your confidence to do that. So I've always just done holdovers with this scope. Now, scopes that click, I have no problems twisting them around. As a matter of fact, I've got an inexpensive weaver that I dial all the time, and it tracks extremely well. So this one might too, I don't know, but that's what I got for today. A little disappointed with the, you know, as of late, I've been struggling with this silly iPhone focusing, and I don't know if it's a light thing or what it is, but didn't seem to have those problems in the past. It's kind of manifested itself recently around Christmas time. So I don't know if a software change did that, or I just happened to be filming on challenging light days. I am in the shade right now, so that makes sense, but a little disappointed with the spread that I got on that, and a little disappointed with my group. But I do know that I shoot poorly when I try to do these videos sometimes, so it's not surprising. And that's all.